from the Concept 1 to the Nevera, to the Nevera R, to Bugatti, to the Campus, to 2,000 employees doing all of these crazy things. I use the car all the time, every day. I came to work with my Nevera.
One man, two hypercars, two completely different visions of the future. On one side stands the Bugatti Tourbillon, powered by a screaming 8.3-liter naturally aspirated V16 built by Cosworth, blending old-world craftsmanship with modern hybrid technology. On the other stands the Rimac Nevera R, a 2,107 horsepower electric monster capable of acceleration that borders on science fiction. What makes this story extraordinary is that both cars were created under the leadership of the same man, Matt Rimac. So which philosophy wins? The emotional power of combustion or the relentless efficiency of electricity? The past or the future? Let's explore the machines, the technology, and the vision shaping the next era of hypercars. Two cars. Vision. To understand why these two cars exist, you have to understand the man behind both of them. Matt Rimac was not born into the automotive world. He was not handed a legacy, a factory, or a famous surname. He was a young Croatian engineer with a vision that almost everyone around him dismissed as impossible. At 16 years old, he began converting a beat-up BMW into an electric car in his family's garage. Not because he had millions in funding, not because a major manufacturer told him to, because he genuinely believed that electricity was the future of performance. And he was willing to bet everything on that belief. That bet paid off in ways nobody expected. By 2021, Rimac Automobili had grown from a garage experiment into one of the most technically sophisticated hypercar companies on Earth. Engineers who had previously worked at Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini were sending their CVs to a Croatian startup because they wanted to be part of what Rimac was building. Investors who had once laughed at the idea of an electric hypercar were now lining up. And the technology Rimac developed, particularly around battery management, electric motor control, and torque vectoring, was so advanced that major automotive groups began paying serious attention. And then came the deal that changed everything. Porsche and Volkswagen Group restructured their relationship with Rimac, and Bugatti,
Porsche and now parent company Volkswagen, to recall over 500,000 vehicles collectively in the US.
One of the oldest, most prestigious automotive names in history, was folded into a joint venture with Rimac's company. Matt Rimac, the boy from the garage, was suddenly the CEO of Bugatti. Think about what that means for a moment. Here is a man who built his entire identity around proving that electric power is superior. And now he is the guardian of a brand whose entire soul is built around the combustion engine. The tension in that moment is almost impossible to overstate. Because Bugatti is not just a car company, it is a philosophy. It is a century of craftsmanship, of excess, of the belief that the internal combustion engine, when pushed to its absolute limit, is the most emotionally powerful machine human beings have ever created. Every Veyron, every Chiron, every Mistral ever made carries that belief in its DNA. And now the man who made his name by building the world's fastest electric car was being asked to decide what Bugatti's next chapter would look like. The weight of that responsibility is something most people in the automotive world will never fully appreciate. So what does Matt Rimac do? He does not choose one world over the other. He builds both. Under his leadership, Bugatti began development of the Tourbillon, a next-generation hypercar that would preserve the soul of combustion while stepping carefully into the hybrid era. At the same time, Rimac Automobili was developing the Nevera R, a more aggressive, more focused,
As you know, we love to share the progress of development of the Nevera and the testing of the car.
more extreme version of the original Nevera that would push the boundaries of what electric power can do on a public road. Two cars, two philosophies. One man making decisions that will shape the direction of the hypercar world for the next decade. And the question burning at the heart of both machines, which vision is right? Inside the Bugatti Tourbillon. When Bugatti revealed the Tourbillon to the world, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming, because this was not just a new car. This was a statement, a declaration that Bugatti, even under new leadership, even in an era of electrification, would not abandon what made it extraordinary in the first place. And at the heart of that statement sits one of the most remarkable engines ever commissioned for a road car. The Tourbillon's engine is built by Cosworth, the legendary British engineering company responsible for some of the most celebrated power plants in motorsport history. It is an 8.3-liter, naturally aspirated V16, 16 cylinders, 0 turbochargers, 0 superchargers, 0 assistance from forced induction of any kind. Just pure atmospheric displacement. Just air and fuel and mechanical precision operating at the very edge of what is physically possible. In an era where almost every high-performance manufacturer has moved to forced induction or hybrid systems to chase headline power figures, Bugatti chose the opposite direction. They made the engine bigger, they made it more complex, they made it more demanding, both to build and to drive. The result is an engine that revs to 9,000 revolutions per minute, a number that places it closer to a Formula One power unit than to any conventional road car engine. At those revolutions, the sound it produces is not simply loud, it is operatic. It fills the air around the car with a frequency that vibrates deep in the chest, that bypasses rational thought entirely and connects directly with something primal in the human nervous system. You do not just hear a V16 at 9,000 revolutions per minute. You feel it in your bones. Combined with 3 electric motors that fill in the torque at lower speeds and provide additional power on demand, the total system output reaches 1,775 horsepower. That number commands serious respect in any context.
Creating the engine was the second. As if constructing the car in Lego technique,
The performance figures that follow are extraordinary by any measure. The Tourbillon accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.0 seconds flat. Its top speed reaches 277 miles per hour. A figure that, when you sit with it for a moment, reveals itself as almost incomprehensible. That is also designed to carry luggage and drive you across a continent in supreme comfort. And that is exactly what makes the Tourbillon so unusual. It is not a track car disguised as a road car. It is genuinely, deliberately a grand tourer. A vehicle built for distance as much as for speed. For the driver who wants to leave Paris in the morning and arrive in the south of France before lunch. Not on a motorway, but on the roads that twist through mountains and valleys, at speeds that would be genuinely illegal and genuinely terrifying in anything less capable. The Tourbillon is designed for that journey, for that feeling, for the idea that a car at this level should be experienced across miles and hours, not just across a standing quarter mile. Step inside the Tourbillon and you encounter something that no other hypercar on Earth currently offers. Where almost every modern performance car fills its cabin with digital screens and touchscreen interfaces competing for your attention, Bugatti made a decision that is either brilliantly old-fashioned or brilliantly visionary, depending on your perspective. They installed an instrument cluster inspired by a mechanical tourbillon, the extraordinarily complex watchmaking mechanism that regulates time with pinpoint accuracy using purely mechanical means. The gauges move like something from another era entirely, like a Swiss timepiece, like a work of art that happens to also tell you how fast you are going and how hard your engine is working. There are no glowing LCD panels. There is no algorithm deciding what information to prioritize. There is only the mechanical truth of the machine itself, displayed with the kind of artistry that makes you wonder whether you are sitting in a car or inside a master watchmaker's imagination. Only 250 examples of the Tourbillon will ever be built, each priced at approximately $4.6 million. Before a single car reached a customer's hands, the wait list had already stretched beyond what Bugatti could fulfill in the near term. Because people do not just want to own a Tourbillon. They want to own what it represents. The belief that combustion, at its highest and most refined form, is not just viable but irreplaceable. That some things are worth preserving, not because they are the most efficient solution, but because they are the most extraordinary one, inside the Nevera R. And then there is the Nevera R. If the Tourbillon is a love letter to the past, the Nevera R is a manifesto fired at the future. And unlike most manifestos, this one comes with independently verified proof. There is no V16 here, no 16 cylinders, no Cosworth engine. Instead, 4 electric motors, one at each wheel, deliver torque with a precision and immediacy that no mechanical gearbox has ever matched. They do not respond in milliseconds. They respond in fractions of milliseconds. And together they produce 2,107 horsepower, more than 300 beyond what the Tourbillon's hybrid system generates, delivered not at the peak of a rev range, but from the exact instant the driver's foot touches the accelerator. That distinction, the way electric power arrives versus the way combustion power builds, is the most important thing to understand about this car. For over a century, performance driving has been defined by a sequence. The driver presses the throttle. The engine climbs through its rev range. Power builds toward a peak. A gear change interrupts the pull, and the cycle begins again. The Nevera R eliminates that sequence entirely. There is no build-up. There is no anticipation. There is only the immediate, total, violent transfer of 2,107 horsepower to 4 wheels, each independently controlled by software, making hundreds of adjustments every second, searching for grip and stability with a level of intelligence that no human driver could replicate manually. In July of 2025, Rimac took the Nevera R to the Automotive Testing Papenburg Proving Ground in Germany.
For me, it's impossible to put into words what it means for me to see this car and where we are in the Rimac campus.
The same track where the original Nevera had set 23 world records 2 years earlier. Over 4 days, the Nevera R did not match those records. It shattered them. 24 production car world records broken and independently verified by Doosoft, one of the world's leading measurement technology companies. 0 to 60 miles per hour in 1.72 seconds. 0 to 186 miles per hour in 7.89 seconds. And the 0 to 249 miles per hour and back to a complete stop, done in 25.79 seconds. More than 4 seconds faster than the time the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute had previously held as the world record. These are not claims. They are certified facts, tested in real conditions on a real track with measurement equipment that cannot be argued with. To handle those forces, Rimac built the Nevera R around the largest and stiffest carbon fiber monocoque ever fitted to a production road car. 30% of its components are entirely new. The aerodynamic package was rebuilt from scratch. A single-piece front clip, a dual-layer fixed rear wing producing 15% more downforce, and an overall efficiency improvement of 10% over a car already considered among the most sophisticated road vehicles ever built. Rimac will build only 40 examples, at $2 million each. That number is not a manufacturing limitation. It is a statement. The Nevera R is not trying to be common. It is trying to be proof. Proof that the future Matt Rimac once imagined in his family garage, the future that investors laughed at and rivals dismissed, has not just arrived. It has already broken 24 records, and it is still accelerating. When two philosophies collide here is where the story becomes truly fascinating, because these two cars do not simply represent different technologies. They represent fundamentally different answers to the same question. What is a hypercar actually for? The Tourbillon answers that question with heritage, with sensory richness, with the conviction that a car at this price and this level of craftsmanship should engage every human sense simultaneously. The sound of a naturally aspirated V16 at 9,000 revolutions per minute is not merely a performance byproduct. It is an experience that exists nowhere else on Earth, one that vibrates in your chest, that connects you to something ancient and mechanical and irreplaceable. You cannot replicate it digitally. You cannot synthesize it convincingly. You have to earn it by pressing the throttle and feeling the engine respond with everything it has. The Nevera R answers that same question from an entirely different direction. It argues that what has always mattered, what has always made performance cars emotionally significant, is not the sound, not the mechanical complexity, not the combustion ritual. It is the sensation of speed itself, the physical force of acceleration pressing you into the seat, the feeling of the world compressing in front of you as everything else falls away behind. And the Nevera R delivers that sensation more completely, more instantly, and more repeatably than any combustion hypercar that has ever existed. Every launch.
This car for me is a mountain, Mount Everest of blood, sweat and tears of all the people.
Every corner exit, every time the driver presses the pedal, no warm-up, no degradation, no waiting for operating temperatures. Just perfect, violent, instantaneous performance. What makes this philosophical tension so uniquely compelling is that both cars exist within the same corporate family. Mate Rimac is not publicly choosing between them. He is not declaring one philosophy superior to the other. He is funding both simultaneously, developing both to their absolute limits, and letting the market, and ultimately history, make the judgment. But in the details of his decisions, there are clues. The choice to give the Tourbillon a Cosworth V16 when a hybrid or fully electric powertrain could have achieved the same performance numbers tells you something important. It tells you that even the man who built his career on the superiority of electric power understands viscerally that combustion has a value, an emotional, experiential, irreducible value that cannot be captured in a performance specification. And yet, when you pull back and look at the broader context, the direction of global regulation, the accelerating improvement of battery technology, and the fundamental economics of energy storage, it is genuinely difficult to argue that combustion has an unlimited future. Every major automotive market on Earth is moving toward restrictions on internal combustion engines, within time frames that are closer than most people realize. The charging infrastructure that seemed inadequate even 5 years ago is growing faster than the most optimistic projections suggested. Battery energy density is improving in ways that are beginning to close the gap, not just in performance, but in the emotional qualities that combustion has always owned exclusively. The case for combustion is powerful and real and deeply human. But emotion has never permanently halted a technology transition in the history of industry. The Tourbillon and the Nevera R are, in their own way, a living study in that transition, the most refined and extreme expression of both philosophies that human engineering has ever produced. They exist at exactly the same historical moment, built by exactly the same man from exactly the same company. And they could not be more different from each other. That is not an accident of product planning. That is Mate Rimac holding both possibilities open for as long as he possibly can, understanding that the world he is actively helping to build toward may not ultimately have room for both of them forever. And understanding, too, that this moment, right now, while both worlds still fully exist, is worth documenting in metal and carbon and horsepower as completely as possible. The road between worlds. But there is another layer to this story that makes the comparison even more fascinating. Because this is not simply a battle between two hypercars. It is a battle between two philosophies fighting for the future of performance itself. In the summer of 2025, the automotive world watched something remarkable unfold. At the Papenburg Proving Ground in Germany, the Rimac Nevera R rewrote the record books. Over 4 days of testing, the Croatian electric hypercar shattered 24 production car world records, including acceleration figures that seemed almost impossible only a decade ago.
Rimac makes multi-million-dollar supercars under the Bugatti and Rimac names, but its big growth.
Independent verification from DoSoft confirmed what the data showed. Electric performance had reached a level that traditional combustion engineering could no longer match in pure measurable speed. The achievement was not an isolated event. Across the industry, electric vehicles were already dominating acceleration contests. From Tesla's Plaid models to Formula E's rapid technological evolution, the pattern had become impossible to ignore. Electric motors deliver maximum torque instantly. Physics simply favors them in a straight line. And yet, while Rimac was busy collecting records, something equally important was happening hundreds of miles away in Molsheim, France. The Bugatti Tourbillon was selling out. Before a single customer car reached a driveway, all 250 production slots had already been spoken for. Wealth collectors, enthusiasts, and long-time Bugatti clients committed millions of dollars to a machine they had never even driven. By late 2025, reports indicated that dozens more buyers remained on a waiting list, despite Bugatti making it clear that production would not be expanded. That fact forces an uncomfortable question. Because if speed alone determined value, every billionaire on Earth should have been rushing toward the faster car. The answer lies in something that no specification sheet has ever been able to capture. The Tourbillon's naturally aspirated V16 engine represents one of the most ambitious power plants ever installed in a road car. Developed alongside Cosworth, it produces a soundtrack that no electric motor can replicate. There are no artificial speakers, no synthesized sounds, no digital substitutes. Every vibration, every intake pulse, and every explosion inside its 16 cylinders creates an experience that connects directly to more than a century of automotive history. This is the same emotional connection that fills grandstands at events, like the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the Monaco Grand Prix. Fans do not attend merely to watch numbers on a timing screen. They come to feel something. That emotional dimension explains why, despite electric vehicles becoming objectively faster, legendary combustion-powered cars continue to appreciate in value. Collectors are not purchasing transportation. They are purchasing experiences, memories, and mechanical artistry. The Nevera R and the Tourbillon embody those opposing forces perfectly. One represents the future. The other represents the pinnacle of a glorious past. And perhaps the most interesting person standing between those worlds is Rimac himself. Few figures in automotive history have occupied such a unique position. Through Rimac, he helped create the fastest electric production car ever built. Through Bugatti Rimac, he also oversees the company responsible for one of the most ambitious combustion-powered hypercars ever conceived. In a sense, he is competing against himself. One side of his business proves that electric technology has already surpassed combustion in raw performance. The other side celebrates everything enthusiasts fear might disappear if internal combustion eventually fades away. That is why the Nevera R versus Tourbillon debate has never really been about horsepower, acceleration times, or top speed. It is about what people value most. Do they value absolute performance, regardless of how it is achieved? Or do they value emotion, heritage, sound, and mechanical drama, even if it means accepting slower numbers? Right now, the market's answer appears to be both. The Nevera R owns the record books. The Tourbillon owns the imagination. And perhaps that is the most fitting conclusion of all. Because we are living through a once-in-a-century transition where the fastest future and the greatest expression of the past exist side by side. For a brief moment in automotive history, both worlds are winning. Two cars, $4.6 million against $2.5 million. A roaring V16 against 4 silent electric motors, 250 units against 40. Same company, completely different souls. That is where we are right now in the hypercar world. Standing exactly at the crossroads between what performance has always been and what it is becoming. And mate Rimac is the only man on Earth building both roads simultaneously. So here is your question. Drop it in the comments right now. If you had to choose today, are you taking the Tourbillon's combustion soul or the Nevera R's electric fury? Hit that like button if this video made you think. Subscribe and stay close, because next time, we are going inside the story of the man who bought a crashed $6 million Bugatti that even Bugatti said was finished, and rebuilt it anyway.